different age kid, you wouldn't tell me. This is too black. My eyes, shut up.
This is the never-before-seen case of Harold Easter, a shocking example of police negligence and the only time a suspect has ever died inside of the interrogation room. A man who went from stone cold sober to dying of an overdose, all while in police custody. On January 3rd, 2020, police pulled over Harold Easter after they allegedly witnessed him selling drugs. After Harold stopped his vehicle, the officers immediately rushed the vehicle, weapons drawn, just to see him hiding the evidence in a truly shocking way.
Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Do it now! My man just got out. We had some weed. That's all. Hands up! Hands up! Don't fight. Keep going. Put your hands up right now. Keep them up. Keep your hands up right now. Don't eat it. He's eating. Hands up.
Harold admits to having a little bit of marijuana on him, but obviously doesn't want him to know about the crack cocaine he was also carrying, as instead of giving it up, he puts a rock of it in his mouth and swallows it directly in front of the officer. Obviously, this is extremely unsafe. Ingesting any amount of this drug can be dangerous, but in the amounts that Harold just took, it's life-threatening. Officers should have immediately called for medical attention and taken him to a hospital, but instead, they focused on arresting him and bringing him into custody, leaving him to suffer for hours on end.
I got it. All right. Got anything else? Come prove me stupid.
I ain't got nothing.
Hey, bro, tweaking out. That's why y'all don't stick to weed, bro. I think about he was doing some weed. That's cool enough. Again, you swallowing coke in front of the feds. It's crazy. You just, hold on. Not you swallowing coke in front of the feds. It's crazy. It's just that because you probably was selling that shit. You feel me? It's just the point that, it's just the point that you could have had this under the seat. Glove department. Do the shit. Sock, shoe. You wouldn't have been swallowing in the car.
He was crushing up part of his crack. He didn't get all of it though, but that's what he was doing while I was fighting for his hands. But we probably got an 8-ball down here. This is gonna be part of the crack he was crushing when I was dealing with him. And here's another baggie located in front of the driver's seat.
The officers recover about 3.5 grams of crack cocaine and around 1 gram of marijuana from the car, along with the cash found in his pocket. These aren't big-time numbers, and Harold maintained that he wasn't even selling it in the first place. He was just smoking a little with his friend.
I ain't had nothing but to smoke a little rock weed. That's all. Smoke me a rock. That's all.
Open your mouth, stick your tongue out.
It's gay, man.
Open your mouth, stick your tongue out. Lift your tongue out. Keep your mouth open.
I don't got nothing in my mouth. That's all I tell you.
Harold and the officers are both showing perfect conduct, treating each other with respect and staying calm. But remember that Harold has just swallowed a large amount of crack cocaine, and they seem to be completely ignoring how dangerous this really is. But instead of worrying about that, the cops just shut him in the patrol vehicle and leave him unattended for over 10 minutes before driving him back to the police station. During this drive, Harold starts to become more talkative and excitable, the first sign that the coke is kicking in. When he arrives at the station, this has only gotten more apparent. Compare how he talks here to his demeanor just a short while earlier during the arrest.
I ain't doing it. Just let me pass it on. I can't let you swing your arms around the fence. Yeah, okay. Sit down. Man, this is crazy. If I sit down, it's gonna hurt. Here. In about 5 minutes, just because I can get you. Because he got stuck, man. That's why I said, man, I ain't doing that to y'all. I'm saying, you gonna hurt yourself. I can take a straight. Yes, let me take a video. Your earrings, tongue ring, or your down, you got no tongue ring.
It doesn't take an expert to realize that Harold is already very high. He's talking way more than before, swaying and bouncing around whenever he gets the chance, and has a distinct lack of care for what's going on. The officer should know that something is up with him, but whether he totally missed the signs or just dismissed it as him being a random junkie from the street, he still failed to alert the medical staff of Harold's condition. Instead, he watched him take his hoodie and shirt off, indicating a high body temperature, and left the interrogation room.
I ain't dead. Say that young guy, damn, you doing because I ain't have no license. All that stuff, you know, it's me driving the motherfucking car. Anybody trying to drive in a car.
While the interrogation audio isn't the cleanest, Harold's demeanor and tone tell enough of a story. Right now, he's just feeling the early effects of the huge dose he took, but soon cocaine toxicity will start to kick in. The footage from this interrogation captures all 4 stages of this process, from where he is now to paranoia and distress, ending with seizures and a loss of consciousness, all without an ounce of medical attention.
Know how the feds is whole time, they probably watching Brother Campers. I care.
I go to jail for trying to balance a notice of weed and water. I take a 12 days. Y'all don't have any time yet?
Harold is starting to get louder and angrier, likely stemming from the first sign of a cocaine overdose known as delirium. Specifically, Harold seems to be experiencing excited delirium, a state that is consistent with hyperactivity, paranoia, rising body temperature, and incoherent screaming and shouting. The anger may also come from the fact that since he was arrested, he's told officers he's needed to drink water and use the bathroom, but hasn't been given access to either. In response to this, he yells and asks them if they're gonna let him die there. A horrifying statement that will soon prove to be more significant than he could have ever realized.
I got a hot man. You see this in my mama? And my pieces got stuck in me. And it's hot in you. I'm gonna say that on, but she's not back on and go and never get along. Why do you not have any clothes on? Man, that's on cap. And he said, and I look my shit back on, I'm going to put his back on, back on, you can come and do it. Let me get some more, man. That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to just swim it down. You know, but you have to pee or you want to have some water. I'm going to say, let's see what we want to do. You know,
finally, an officer returns and asks if he needs water. 4 minutes later, he brings some in, but his actions afterwards are extremely telling.
Anything is telling that. Let me get the water. I'm just saying, I know we don't talk about it's real shit. It's real shit. It's not really real. It ain't really. It's just me. Because, man, I really got to the face from that side of my ass. Y'all know if you know it's me trying, you know I ain't got no gun like that in my ass. I don't ride no gun.
After giving him the water, the officer just asks why he's yelling so much before immediately backing out of the room while Harold is still talking. It's almost as though the officer feels scared or threatened by Harold, amplified by the fact that he refuses to turn his back to him at any point. The cop wants to keep him in his vision so he can feel safe. It's now apparent what the cops are actually doing. It seems as though they think the dosage that Harold took is safe, and are just waiting for it to wear off before they begin questioning and processing him. Given that the arresting officer saw the size of the rock that Harold swallowed, it should have been obvious that it wasn't a safe dosage. They only realized when it was already too late. Harold is starting to shake in what are known as pre-convulsive moments. He knows something is wrong, but due to how intoxicated he is, he won't be able to understand what's happening or that he desperately needs help. This is the first stage of cocaine intoxication. His blood pressure will be rising dramatically, his thoughts will become clouded, and he may start to experience hyperthermia, along with the obvious twitching and convulsive motions that are visible. Entering this stage confirms that the substance has essentially poisoned his bloodstream, and even if medics were called now, there is very little they'd be able to do to stop what's to come.
So he's telling me when the feds take you, they put you in a room. I'm pretty sure they watching you on the camera this whole time, not caring, because I know where they put them in the room this whole time and when they go do what they. Okay, look, y'all arrest somebody, put them in the room, and then go do what y'all want to do. Like y'all ain't just putting nobody there in the room. Like if you're gonna take somebody, bro, go finish them, meaning go interrogate them, and then go do what you need to do. Instead, niggas can go ahead and do what they need to do first. And got bro in that bitch by itself. No one ain't watching, dude. Because how the fuck y'all know you need water? I mean, come on, man.
Harold has just had a seizure, the second stage of cocaine toxicity. His entire body began heavily convulsing, he lost control of his muscles, and his body likely started sending less oxygen to his brain and other vital organs. His heart is probably even starting to beat irregularly and skip beats. His body is starting to completely shut down. Harold then spends 2 minutes lying motionless on the table before falling to the ground, having multiple more seizures, each more aggressive than the last. Harold spent almost 10 minutes in this stage of stage 3 cocaine toxicity before an officer finally checked on him, vomiting, hyperventilating, and convulsing the entire time. Harold Easter was rushed to the hospital where he died 3 days later, leaving behind his wife and children. Following the incident, an investigation was opened against the 5 cops involved in the arrest, who subsequently resigned from the force. No legal action was taken against any of them. However, changes were made to the CMPD's policy following Harold's death. Officers are now required to constantly monitor any suspect in their custody instead of just every 15 minutes. And officers must immediately call a medic if they believe a suspect has swallowed an illegal substance. The Easter family also received a cash settlement in their wrongful death suit and have announced that they are at peace with moving on. The CMPD showed exactly how not to handle a situation like this. If they'd called a medic any earlier, Harold's life could have been saved. Here's what police should have done, shown when Xavier Franklin suddenly fell ill in their custody.
What would you like us to do for you today?
Just weeks ago from today, Franklin was brought into police custody after being arrested for outstanding warrants during a traffic stop.
Step up for me real quick. Let's go put your handcuffs. You're detained right now. No big deal.
You got any weapons on your box? No, go back.
Franklin is taken to the police station to be interviewed about his warrants. But before they could even start questioning, he starts to get extremely sick.
There goes Sushi, okay? You're right back.
In contrast to the CMPD, these Dallas officers immediately noticed that Franklin was in medical distress and brought him towels and a trash can to help clean things up. The officers also routinely check on him to make sure he's fine, but as it turns out, things couldn't be further from fine.
Everything okay? I'm gonna take your hat real quick. Okay. You okay?
No,
What's wrong?
I just thought of blood.
From what?
Huh?
From what?
I just had a withdrawal. I'm a recovered alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think they got an ambulance coming. Okay. Hang in there.
The officers tell him that an ambulance is on its way, and just minutes later, it arrives.
What's going on with you, man? I just thought of blood. What kind of medical problem you got? Pancreatitis. What would you like us to do for you today? I already went to the hospital. So you already been? I'd rather go. You'd rather go to the hospital?
As the medics take him to the hospital, you can see just how weak Franklin looks as he struggles to leave the room. Unfortunately, despite the police and medics' best efforts, Franklin died at around 9 p.m. that evening. As of this video's upload, an autopsy is currently being carried out to determine his true cause of death, and the incident is still under investigation. If you enjoy true crime videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to see more.
Collaboration is key for team success. With ClickUp, you can easily manage